What's up, guys? The January Patreon rewards are now available. Mana Drain, Edgar Markov, and Corvold Fey Cursed King are all available through the end of the month. If you'd like to support our channel and pick up these sweet proxies, you can do so at patreon.com/itresolves or clicking the link in the description. What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Crack-a-Pack series. Today we are opening up a pack of Lorwyn, a fantastic set in my opinion, one of the most exciting sets of that time period, I will say. There's a lot of really cool lore stuff, a lot of really cool art stuff, and a lot of powerful cards. So hopefully we will get some of those as we go through this pack. Of course, we're going to go through this as if it is a pack one, pick one scenario. So we are going to do the best we can to figure out what our first round draft pick will be. I'll go ahead and say, did not draft during this time. We've opened a few of these packs on the channel already. Don't know exactly what the best archetypes are, things like that. I know it's a lot of tribal synergy, so we'll try and keep that in mind as we go through. But our first card here is Neck Snap. It is an instant for 3 and a white, destroy target attacking or blocking creature. To me, this seems like a decent way to start. It is a decent removal spell. It's not amazing because obviously the creature either has to be attacking or blocking for it to be targeted. That can definitely be a little bit constraining, but that definitely takes care of a bomb or something like that that's going to be attacking in on the opponent's turn a lot. So I'm actually okay with this. It is a little expensive, but it is instant speed as well. So there's a lot of upside to a card like this. I think it's a decent common start to this pack. So I'm definitely interested in it. I'll keep it right here for now. So our second card is Pester Might. Very interesting card. So it's a 2/1 for 2 and a blue. It has flash and flying. When it comes into play, you can tap or untap target permanent. So for anybody that doesn't know, this was part of a infinite combo with Splinter Twin and or Kiki Jiki, I guess, where you essentially play this, attach Splinter Twin to it, which allows you to tap the creature to create a token copy of that creature. When the token copy comes into play, it untaps the original Pester Might, and you can repeatedly do that for as long as you would like to get an infinite number of Pester Mites and swing in for the win that turn. Pretty awesome, really, really cool. Unfortunately, in Limited, not quite so amazing. It is a fairy, so it does have some synergy there with the blue-black deck. And tapping down a permanent can certainly be a little bit of a utility play. So I do like it, but I don't think it's as good as Neck Snap. I definitely think that's a better card here. Leaf Gilder is a 1 and a green for a 2/1, it does tap for 1 green mana, so it's a 2 mana dork, and that's fine. Generally 2 mana dorks are a lot worse than 1 mana dorks. That being said, elves are very powerful, I'm sure. I don't know how the synergy goes in this set. Again, I didn't play during that time, and so I'm not 100% sure. I feel like it's probably a decent card no matter what, because it is mana ramp, and it does fix 4 green, which is nice. It gives you that extra utility. So I don't know if this is a better card than Neck Snap. My assumption is no, because removal tends to be at a premium, so I'm going to probably take that over this. I think I'll keep them together for now just to be safe, but I don't necessarily think that that's a better card. Bogart Sprite Chaser is a 1/2 for 1 and a red. As long as you control a fairy, Bogart's Sprite Chaser gets +1/+1 and has flying. This is a really interesting card. So it obviously is wanting to be in the fairy deck. The problem with that is the fairy deck, to my knowledge, is generally blue and black. And so splashing a third color just for this doesn't seem great. Now, if you can get a 2/3 for only 2 mana, that's quite good. But is it worth it to splash that third color? Probably not. A lot of times you get into a position where you're really, really constrained on mana. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to force your mana base if you don't have to. And so while this card is a decent 2-drop in that deck, I don't think it's worth it to play. Again, I could be wrong. I didn't play, but my assumption is that I would not necessarily want this, even if I was in that deck. Thieving Sprite is a 1/1 for 2 and a black. It has flying, and when it comes into play, target player reveals X cards from his or her hand, where X is the number of fairies you control. You get to choose one of those cards, and that player discards that card. Now, this is a very good card, in my opinion. I definitely think better than Leaf Gilder. We're debating on Neck Snap here still, but Not only does this really, really go well in that fairy deck, obviously, but it gives you a little bit of hand destruction in there. And yeah, it may only be one card, but one card is worth it, especially when you're getting a 1/1 flyer off of it as well. So I actually really like this card. I don't know if it's better than Next Snap. I definitely think it's better than Leaf Gilder. I'm going to keep this and Next Snap together again, just for now, but I really, really like this card. It gives you that body on top of that hand destruction utility. So lots of upside here. Kinsbale Balloonist is a 2/2 for 3 and a white. It does have flying, and when it attacks, you can have target creature gain flying until the end of the turn. We actually see this ability on, there's a 2/2 Pegasus or something like that that is in some of the recent sets that does a very similar thing. It's actually a little bit better, solely because it costs one less. But it does the same thing where as long as this is attacking, it gives another creature flying, which is awesome. What that allows you to do is get in with some of your big bad creatures that don't necessarily have flying on a board where there might be a lot of creatures on the board that could block it, things like that. So it does let you poke through for some combat damage really, really well, and it's definitely encouraging that aggression, which I like. I don't like that it's 4 mana, to be honest, and maybe that's just personal bias because we do have the 2/2 for 3 mana that does literally the exact same thing. That seems better to me, obviously, and I think Thieving Sprite is a better creature. I don't think I would take this over Next Snap either, so I think I'm going to pass on it here, but I actually do think this is a decent card, one that I probably would play in just kind of a white aggressive deck. Black Poplar Shaman is a 1/3 for 2 and a black, and you can pay 2 and a black and regenerate target tree folk. Obviously, meant to go in the tree folk deck. It can regenerate itself, which is nice. Generally, that's a green-black deck, to my knowledge. And I don't think this is an amazing card, if I'm honest. I think it's nice if you really get some payoff tree folk, but I think I would rather have those big bad bombs first instead of picking this up first. I don't think that this is a reason to go that way. Definitely not better than Thieving Sprite or Next Snap, for sure. Shimmering Grotto is a land. It taps for 1 generic mana. And then you can pay 1 of any color, tap it, and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So this is actually a really nice filter land. I don't think it's an amazing card by any means. It does not ramp you or anything like that. It's just generic mana. So it does just tap for 1. But you can filter out if you find yourself in a 3-color deck. We were talking about splashing that Goblin. I don't think it's a good idea, but if you find yourself in that position where you need 3 colors, maybe even 4, absolutely you would want to pick this up just to have access to it just based on your land base. So a lot of positive here. I don't think I would take it over anything else right now, but again, later in the pack, mid to late pack, if I find myself in multiple colors, might be a good idea to pick it up. Elvis Eulogist is a 1/1 for 1 green. Sacrifice it and you gain 1 life for each elf card in your graveyard. This seems like just an okay 1/1. Gotta look at this as its worst. So it is at worst a 1/1 for 1 green. In an elves deck, that's perfectly fine because it's just creatures. That's all you need. So it's perfectly fine in that regard. The fact that it can gain you a little bit of life is nice. It's not amazing, but it is nice. It gives you a little bit of a buff against other aggressive decks, which is great. Other than that, not super exciting. I don't think it's worth it to pick over the cards that we've already got for sure, but it is a nice little utility card if you find yourself in the Elves deck. I'd be happy to pick it up. Giant's Ire is a tribal sorcery, which just means that it's a sorcery, but it does have a tribal synergy, in this case, Giant. It does cost 3 and a red. When it deals 4 damage to target player, if you control a giant, you also get to draw a card. I don't love this card early. I think it's fine. It'd be much better if it hit creatures as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't. It is just direct damage to the opponent, though, which is great. We see things like Lava Axe and a lot of old core sets that do very, very well because it is just straight up damage to the opponent. There's very little they can do about it other than countering. So that is a very powerful effect. However, you really want to have the giant to be able to draw the card and replace it right off the bat. So if you can't do that, I don't know that it's necessarily worth it to pick up super early. I do think it's good, but I think we've got better options. I think if you find yourself in the giant deck, absolutely great card to pick up. Definitely a good card. But other than that, I don't necessarily think it's that great. Lair Watch Giant is a 5/3 for 5 and a white. It can block an additional creature, which is very nice. And when it blocks 2 or more creatures, it gains first strike until the end of the turn. So this actually does really, really well against a lot of little dudes, because obviously it gains first strike. It's going to be able to deal a lot of damage to them before it deals the damage to, or excuse me, before they deal damage to it. Which means it's going to be able to deal with a lot of creatures very, very quickly and stave off a lot of combat damage, which is great. Unfortunately, the downside, it only has 3 toughness, so that first strike gets around that problem, but if you're only blocking 1 creature, it's not worth it. It's probably going to die pretty quickly, and it is a very expensive 5/3. Again, definitely has some upside, but I don't necessarily think it's better than the other cards that we've got already. I prefer to lean towards a little bit more interaction, and so Thieving Sprite and Neck Snap both kind of fill that for me. Layer Watch Giant, definitely good, definitely a really solid creature, but I don't necessarily think it's worth the mana cost. And I could be wrong again, I don't know for sure, correct me in the comment section, but that's just my take on it. I don't think I'd take it here. Our first uncommon is Captivating Glance. It is 2 and a blue for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature at the end of your turn, clash with an opponent. If you win, gain control of the enchanted creature, otherwise that player gains control of enchanted creature. Interesting card here. So each clashing player reveals the top card of his or her library, then puts that card on the top or bottom. They get to choose. A player wins if his or her card had a higher converted mana cost. So for anybody that did not know what Clash is, that's what Clash is. Clash was a really interesting mechanic as well. I thought it was a lot of fun. I don't know if this card is good. It's very, random. And generally speaking, random is not something you want on a regular basis in your deck, so I don't think that I would take it. It is pretty powerful to be able to control magic something. That's really, really good to be able to just pull a creature onto your side of the field. Awesome. Really, really good. You have no way of knowing if you're going to be able to do that, though. This only sets you up at the end of your turn as well. I don't love this. I gotta be honest. I think it's a little bit too random for me to take it. It is a good card. It's very, very powerful. Don't get me wrong. But that random aspect of it, I think, makes it a little bit too difficult to take. Bogart Harbinger, is a 2/1 for 2 and a black. When it comes into play, you can search your library for a Goblin card, reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. This is a very, very powerful card in the Goblin deck. Being able to utilitarian search out any Goblin that you absolutely need at that given time is on top. That's exactly what you need. Gives you that option, but it is also a creature in itself. So this is a tutor on a stick. The card does go on top of your library, not in your hand. A little bit of a downside there. It's a turn late, but I do think that's still very, very worth it. Potentially better than these other 2 cards, I think, as well. As much as I don't necessarily want to just jump straight into Goblins, because I tend to avoid Goblins a little bit, but I do think this is a powerful card. Being able to tutor something up like that is very, very good. I think I got to take this over what we got so far, but we'll see what we got through the rest of the pack. Ooh, oh, good pack, guys. Marshflitter is 3 and a black for a 1/1 with flying. When it comes into play, you put 2 1/1 black Goblin Rogue creature tokens into play, sacrifice a Goblin, and it becomes a 3/3 until the end of the turn. This goes so well with the Harbinger. This is so difficult. Unfortunately, this could not be tutored by the Harbinger, I will say that. But this is just a really powerful card. I think I have to take this over the Harbinger. For a lot of reasons. One, it's a flying threat, which is great. It also produces 3 power and 3 toughness on its own, but split between 3 creatures, which is great. And then on top of that, it has that ability to sacrifice, which gives it, that power buff, that toughness buff, and hopefully able to swing in for a little bit more. It's a bit more of an aggressive card. As much as this is a very tough decision, I do think I have to take Marshflitter over the Bogart Harbinger. Both very, very good cards. This has been a really interesting pack, but let's see what the rare is. Here we go. It is Howltooth Hollow, part of the Hideaway Land cycle. So it is a land, it features Hideaway, so this comes into play tapped. When it does, you look at the top 4 cards of your library, remove 1 from the game face down, then put the rest on the bottom of your library. It does tap for 1 black as well, and then you can pay a black, tap it. You may play the removed card without paying its mana cost if each player has no cards in hand. Now that's a pretty big clause. This is definitely not one of the best Hideaway lands for sure. I would say the blue Hideaway Land is really, really good. Is it Windbrisk Heights is the white one? Pretty good as well. But regardless, I don't necessarily think this is the one to take. As beautiful as the art is and as great as the card is, I don't think it's the best in limited. A lot of times you want to be able to really ensure that your opponent's not going to have many cards in hand. And then that way you can also kind of dim down your hand and do whatever you need to do to get there as well. So that's asking for a lot. I don't think it's worth it in limited. We did get an elemental token here, but I do think the pick here is Marshflitter. It is a fantastic card. Absolutely love it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this pack opening. If you did, please make sure to leave a like or a comment down below. And as always, please make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of our awesome content. But with that, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next Crack-A-Pack episode.